recent trip to Paris, I decided to spend a somewhat rainy afternoon walking about 15 minutes from where I was staying on the Ile Saint-Louis to see the Jardin des Plantes and the Menagerie that is there, as well as the Galerie de l'Evolution, which will be in the next video. So I started with a timed entry ticket for the Menagerie, which is the zoo that is part of this garden. This is one of the most famous botanical gardens in the world, and you can see here they have all this incredible, huge, colorful display set up. And I learned from a friend who lives in Paris that this was part of their holiday lights decorations, and you can go for Christmas. This was lit up just before Christmas, and the kids that were here were just beside themselves with excitement. The gardens themselves are amazing. I did not actually walk through all of the gardens or all of the greenhouses. I was kind of just waiting for my timed entry to get into the Menagerie, so I kind of wandered a bit, and I didn't learn a lot about it until actually after I got home. But it turns out that this garden was established in 1635 as the Royal Garden of Medicinal Plants. And I did go into this portion of the garden, which is the garden for medicinal and economical plants, which are some of my favorite things to grow. Anything medicinal I'm always interested in. I actually ran into a gentleman right around this corner who I unfortunately misunderstood his French. I thought he was wanting to read me a poem. He was actually wanting to sell me a book of poetry. He's a poet. He wanted to sell me something, and I had to tell him no merci. So we parted ways, but make sure you watch out for people selling things, even in the garden. If I understand correctly, this portion, just this small botanical part of the garden, has 3,800 specimens, which of course I didn't see all of them, but I did kind of get to see some of the herbs that we grow here in the States, which was neat to see familiar faces on the other side of the world. And I did learn that apparently a lot of the plants within this is a 59-acre garden entirely, but a lot of the plants were collected all through the Revolution, but a lot of them came from the aristocrats who were unfortunately unable to keep their collections, if you know what I mean. After a short wait in line with a timed entry ticket, I got into the Menagerie, and I spent the rest of the afternoon wandering this beautiful zoo. If you are in the city and you want a quiet place to just get away and listen to birds and the smell of animals and just some quiet walkways, this is just a beautiful place to go and walk and just have a quiet bit of time right in the middle of the city. This was added to the garden in the late 1700s. It was actually, I think it was originally planned to basically house the abandoned animals from, again, some of the aristocracy who had been unable to continue life as they knew it, and the abandoned animals from the Royal Menagerie at Versailles. So they were brought here and housed, although unfortunately they were a lot of them died because they didn't have the funding or the facilities set up correctly to house them. And this is actually the Rotunda, which is the largest building. It was built in the 1800s, and at one time that had housed the large animals like elephants and bears, giraffes, which later were moved to a different zoo, so they're no longer here. They don't have as many of the large animals here, but they do have goats, and goats make everything better. I also learned after the fact that this is the second oldest public zoo in the world still in operation, which is pretty interesting. But it is just a great place to stroll. It's a great place to bring kids. They had it, I'm assuming a lot of the colorful things that you see in some of these pictures are also maybe some holiday decor. I didn't get as many pictures of the bright, there's some really bright stuff going on in the decorations here and there throughout the zoo. I didn't get as many pictures of those, but I really did just enjoy a quiet stroll through this park. I've always loved walking through zoos. I just enjoy the quiet, and I love to see all the animals. I wish I'd made a note of what this is. It's some sort of a wild boar or a wild pig, hog, something, but it looks like something out of a crazy movie, like the Never-Ending Story type of an animal. Something from the Swamp of Despair. This is another one of those places I would recommend looking into. Timed entry ticket if you can possibly plan to arrive and get in that way. It's just easier. You can get them online. I got mine the night before. You just buy it, and then you can just get in the ticketed customer line for entry, and it's a much quicker wait rather than just walking in and randomly standing in line. And a little bit of a tip. If you can plan and you're not doing a random stop in, definitely on some of these, try to do the buy a timed entry and just get there on time, and then you wait, 5 minutes and just walk right in rather than standing in line for quite a while to buy a ticket to get in. I also recommend picking up the map at the entrance or anywhere near the entrance to walk through this, because it is sort of laid out in a bit of a circular maze, and I had to kind of check the map and double around and make sure I didn't miss some of the really cool exhibits as you go around kind of circling through. And I did skip, I think I skipped the reptile pavilion, and I know there's some things I probably missed, but I did enjoy the walkthrough and got to see everything I thought I wanted to see on this walk. This is easily a full day if you visit the garden, the Menagerie as part of the garden, and then move on to the Galerie de l'Evolution, which is part of the Natural History Museum, although I did not even go into the actual Natural History Museum. So plan for an entire day you could spend doing this. This was a rainy day, but it wasn't too bad while I was outside. So I hope you enjoyed this walk through the Latin Quarter Jardin des Plantes, the Menagerie. And if you'd like to see my video of the walk through the Grande Galerie de l'Evolution, that will be in the next video. That is what I moved on to after my walk through the zoo here. If you enjoyed this content and you'd like to see more of our travels and travel tips, please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.